try and make this routine with my videos. I've just been to the cinema to watch the film Lucy. What I'm going to do is make a series of videos every time I watch a film, and give a little review afterwards, just what I think of the film, some feedback about what it's about. I have to say that my reviews will include some spoilers, so if you watch these videos, if you want to hear some thoughts on them, this is in the context of someone who has seen the film. So if you haven't seen the film, probably it's best not to watch this video, because I'm going to talk about some details in the film, and that applies obviously to all of the films I watch, I review. So, Lucy is a French-American science fiction action film. It's written, directed and edited by Luc Besson, produced by Europacor. I think that's how you pronounce it, I haven't heard of that. The film is set in several locations, including Taipei, Paris and New York City. And it stars Scarlett Johansson, Morgan Freeman, Amir Wakid and Choi Min-sik. Johansson plays the title character, a woman who gains psychokinetic abilities from a nootropic drug being absorbed into her bloodstream. So far the film has generated $394.6 million from a budget of $40 million, so it's a pretty successful film, I would say, overall. My personal rating, and this is something I'll try to do consistently in all these reviews, my rating, I give it a strong 7 out of 10, maybe 7.8 out of 10. I think it's a very watchable film. It's action packed, the graphics are excellent, I guess they use CGI, that sort of thing. If you want an action packed film that is quite an original concept, then I would definitely recommend this, because as they are sort of showing the main plot of the film unfolding, you have these sort of background concepts, particularly focusing on wildlife. So to me this is sort of a mixture of science and action, and in that sense it's quite original. There's sort of, I guess you would say, feminist overtones in this, because the central character is sort of a tough, independent woman because of the drugs that she's taken, but it doesn't necessarily overdo it, and it doesn't necessarily portray her as a heroine. It portrays her as quite ruthless, because one side effect from the drugs is that she loses all human emotions, including empathy. So to talk a little bit about the plot, basically you have this situation where there's this young woman in Taiwan, Taipei to be precise, and she's sort of with a dodgy looking character, another Westerner, and he sort of persuades her to go into this hotel, I guess, to do a deal with someone, and she doesn't want any part of it. He gives her a suitcase and he handcuffs her to it, so she has no real choice. As she gets into the hotel, the assistant, the foyer assistant, sort of, the receptionist I should say, sort of is a little bit awkward and keeps asking what name should she say. She's clearly nervous. Anyway, not to go into too many details, she's kidnapped by a ruthless drug gang. They sort of look like triads or something, very ruthless, thuggish type characters, and the head of this gang is portrayed by, I think the guy's called Choi Min-sik. Apologies, my Korean pronunciation is not wonderful. They're a Korean gang operating in Taiwan, and basically they're pretty nasty characters. So at this point she's a vulnerable young woman. You think, well, what are these thugs going to do to her, and so on, and they end up sort of forcing her to open this case, and they all have the shields up and so on for protection. Anyway, she opens the case and it turns out to be a very powerful drug inside. They bring in this sort of junkie to show what one little dose of this would do, and it really spaces him out. She then wakes up in this really dodgy looking cell, and she's realised that, or I should say she's then dragged to a cell after meeting the gang again, because and when she wakes up in the cell she realises it's being put into her stomach. There's some similarities here to the Hong Kong film Coma, in the sense of organ transplants and so on, except it isn't about an organ transplant. It's just similar in the sense of someone waking up in those circumstances. So she wakes up, and over time she realizes that she has this superkinetic ability. The name Lucy actually comes from the Homo erectus, I believe it was, specimen which scientists named Lucy. It was the first human remains found that can be called modern human, and that was in Ethiopia. It's believed to be about 1 million years old, very famous. It's actually, nowadays they actually say it may be a male specimen, but anyway, that's where the title character comes from. Now in the backdrop to all of this is a professor, Morgan Freeman, and he is talking about how human beings only use 10% of their cerebral capacity, although scientists might dispute that. But anyway, the idea is that human beings don't use the entirety of their cerebral capacity. And over time, throughout the course of the film, she utilizes her cerebral capacity to extreme levels, finally reaching 100%. And she has extraordinary abilities. I can also see some resemblances in this to the film Limitless, about the writer who takes drugs and gives him super abilities. There's definitely similarities there. It gives her super strength. It gives her no pain, no sense of pain. It gives her incredible knowledge. She can write a new language within an hour, and so on. There are a few points in the film you just want her to really get this gang, because they really are scumbags, and you just want her to get in and get the revenge. But like I say, she's not entirely an innocent character herself, because part of the side effect of the drugs is it makes her lose all empathy. So there's a few innocent people that she also hurts. For example, there's a taxi guy she just shoots point blank. There's a patient in the hospital she just shoots. So she becomes quite ruthless herself. Basically, in the end, the good twist is that when she reaches 100%, it just becomes nothingness. She becomes part of everything, like atomic matter. But overall, I give this film quite a high score, and I would recommend it. Although, of course, I'm saying that, but this video is directed at people who have seen it. I'd be interested to hear feedback. If you've seen the film, what do you think of it? Would you agree with my assessment that it's they're very good in terms of blending science with action? In terms of, I think the special effects were incredible. The usage of colour and sort of cell mutation, that sort of thing. I thought that was very well done, very memorable. The sort of general cinematography is very good, sort of the street scenes in Taipei and so on. So overall, I give it about 7.8 out of 10. The only flaws I would say with the film were there were a few bits that were a little bit unrealistic. For example, she walks into the hospital with a gun and absolutely no one stops her. Now, you'd think they'd have some sort of security at that point. So there's a few little glitches there that don't quite add up. But hey, it's a film. So let me know your thoughts. That is my film review of Lucy.